Paolo, a photographer based in Fitchburg, Massachusetts, and I've been working on a Then and Now project for Cape Cod Life magazine's annual guide. I have a background in Then and Now photography, starting with a project that I did for about 3 years of my spare time, searching for the places that were painted by artist Edward Hopper. And I found about 180 of these locations, all the way from Maine through Massachusetts and Cape Cod and down to New York and New Jersey. I also did a Fitchburg Then and Now, where I took photos from the historic mill town and city and recreated them today. One of my favorite shots that I created for this project was recreating the photo from Provincetown. The reason I enjoyed that photo, taking that photo so much, was because I had never known until this project that Provincetown's town hall was originally on top of that hill where the monument is today. It was built in 1853 but had burnt down in 1877. And it was interesting to stand on Ryder Street looking towards the hill with the old photograph in hand, seeing where the old town hall was, and now it's the site of the Pilgrim Monument. Another shot that I enjoyed was the shot that was created on Main Street in Sandwich. The editor, Matt Gill, had found a wonderful historic photo of the Main Street back in when it was still a dirt road, and most of the buildings are still identical to the way that they are today, although the building where the Daniel Webster Inn is had been moved back off the road after a fire, I believe, at some point. But for the most part, the street retained exactly all the same elements, and it was exciting to find the exact spot the photographer stood over 100 years ago to create the original image and see all the buildings line up perfectly in the space and to rephotograph it. Dennis was an interesting photo to create because we had to go through several historic photos in Dennis before we actually came to one that was photographable. And originally we wanted to photograph the Dennis post office, which doesn't exist as a post office anymore, but the building is not as recognizable and lacks the charm that it had in the original photo. So we moved on to the Cape Cinema, which the structures were still there and just as charming as they were, back in the 1920s. Unfortunately, this tree had grown up right in front of where the photographer stood all those years ago and blocks the view. So we finally came up with the Lighthouse Inn, which is actually a beautiful example for Dennis. And I had the opportunity to meet the owner of the Lighthouse Inn, who was kind enough to invite me in and showed me an album of historic photos where I was able to get a scan of one of his actual images that he had from his grandfather of the Lighthouse Inn, and we decided to use that for the magazine. exciting photographs was the Chatham Lighthouse. What was exciting about it was the way the light hit the building at the crack of dawn, and the light changed so frequently in short amounts of time. Every couple of minutes the intensity of the light was changing, and the color and the hue of the light. It would go from a yellow to an orange in almost no time. It was interesting to see the succession of photographs just taken over just a few minutes and how different they looked. I also enjoyed working with the Coast Guard, who were kind enough to allow me to be on the near side of the fence to the building, because you need to sign in to have access to the property. And they were just really friendly and full of information on the history of the lighthouse. You know, I love the Cape. I love the Cape any time of year. I love it in the middle of the summer, and I also love it in the dead of winter. I love the solitude on the Cape off-season. I love having the whole Cape to myself, it seems. But during the height of the season, when it's warm out, there's nothing like the breeze along the water. I love the architecture, the charm of the little Cape houses. And I like a lot of the history is preserved on the island still, compared to some other places.
What do you feel about the Cape? What do you like so much about the Cape?
I don't know, what the hell do I like about the Cape? Give me a second here. I have to compose myself. Can you pause that for a second?
Sure. Sorry.